Hi, this is Werner from Scopago again. Today I'd like to ask you, what are your resources for learning German? Because the resources, they're actually one of two things that you need for learning a language, right? You need interaction with people, where you talk to people, listen to them, while speaking German, of course. And at the same time, you need some source, some content that will teach you the new words, vocabulary, the structures, the grammar, the pronunciation, all of that. Couldn't the source of your language learning be anything? Some students ask. But if you think of it, that would basically mean that if I put you into a cafe in Madrid and I just make you listen to the people on the tables next to you speaking Spanish, and you do that long enough, then one day magically you will pick up Spanish. So it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. What we need is what linguists call comprehensible input. That means you start somewhere, you understand that, and then the source or the input that you get will repeat this and give you something new. So it gets a little bit more complicated every time, step by step. Like you have 80% things that you already recognize, or even 90%, and then 10%, 20% new things where you discover something new, and you build it on the vocabulary, on the grammar information that you already have. And that is actually usually some content that is deliberately written for language learning. Of course, if you're very advanced, if you're already fluent, if you're around B2 level and you want to become even better in German, then you can just go to a bookstore and pick up any German novel and learn with it. Or you can watch German movies or TV series or any original, listen to the radio, listen to podcasts. If you're below that level, you can also do it sometimes if the content is not too difficult, because if it's too difficult, then it's frustrating. But I think it cannot be your main source because it's not structured enough. So the risk is that you're spending a lot of time, but you're actually not getting better. You will say that I'm potentially biased now by all the recommendations I'm giving because I have published this book, Jens and Jakob, where you can learn German with a coherent story. So of course, take everything I'm going to say with a grain of salt. I don't want to sell you anything here. But on the other hand, of course, there's a reason why we made this textbook the way it is. Because a good resource, in my view, has to have a few characteristics. One, as I said, it has to have this concept of comprehensible input, meaning a lot of repetition and then getting a little bit more difficult step by step, and also in a structured way, not randomly introducing some very complicated grammar form that is just completely unnecessary for a beginner, and avoiding the more common forms. So it has to have the structure. And for the structure, me personally, I prefer a book or a structured online course where you have like chapter 1 and then chapter 2 and then chapter 3, where you don't have to decide, oh, what am I going to do today? Am I going to watch this YouTube video, or am I going to do that exercise or listen to this podcast? No, you do module 57 and then you do module 58. It's very simple. Saves you a lot of energy, actually. That does not mean that this has to be your own resource, your only resource. Of course, you can listen to other stuff, read other stuff, whatever you're interested in. You should. It was actually amazing. But the pillar of your language learning should have these characteristics. The third one, it should have audio. So not just reading. At least the main texts that are there should also be in an audio format so you can listen to them. It's very important. And the fourth one, above all, it should be fun, because otherwise you're going to give up sooner or later. Yeah, again, of course, that's why we made the Jens and Jakob textbook the way it is, with the coherent story, with the hope that once you have read chapter 12, you're a little bit curious about what's happening in chapter 13. But again, there are dozens of German textbooks. Feel free to go to any of our competitors and get one from them. What about apps like Duolingo, Memrise? I like them. They're helpful. They make you repeat stuff. they're fun, you can do them anytime while you're waiting for the bus. But as your main resource, I think they're not enough because they're not well structured enough. Yeah, the concept of comprehensible input is there, but the structure is not necessarily there. And whether they are fun, well, yeah, some of the Duolingo sentences are actually very funny, and so this I really like, but otherwise, as a sole resource, I think it can be a bit too boring. When it comes to the audio, a short announcement, by the way, we're going to publish the Jens and Jakob textbook also in the format of an online video course. This will still take a few weeks, but I think it can be very helpful for you, especially if listening comprehension and fluency are an issue, because it will have a lot of exercises for you to practice listening comprehension and also to react to sentences. So there's a lot of exercises that you can do on your own without a teacher while still being corrected and while practicing your speaking. So even if you have a fear of speaking in front of others, this should be helpful. If you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe to our newsletter. There's a link below and we will inform you once it's there. Otherwise, what about several resources? So for me personally, for every language I've learned in my life, I have several textbooks. I think that's quite normal. What I just want you to avoid is to jump too much between different textbooks or different methods or different courses. Okay, so yeah, that's my recommendation for today. Now, I have actually two little challenges for you. One is maybe you can share in the comments what is your preferred method. If you don't have one, please go online, look for something that can help you build a structure around your language learning. And the second challenge, is there anything, any resources that you would like to have, but that you couldn't find? Because we're planning to make more resources for learning German, hopefully with all these characteristics that are fun and comprehensible input and audio and so on. Share it in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what you're looking for, and I'll see you in the next video.